We're live. Dandavats to everyone, uh, all the Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis. Uh, Welcome to the Friday evening Sangha that we have. And Dandavats to Chinmoy Prabhu and Arun Krishna Prabhu who are here. They've joined us. And we're going to be discussing. I'm getting feedback over here on my. Arun Prabhu, can you? I don't know how I'm getting. Yeah, it's good now. It's good now, Prabhu. So we're going to be discussing a very important topic from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and we'll be discussing the origin of the soul and see what we can find. Our acharyas and our teachers have given us their blessing, and they have shown us certain things which are not ordinarily visible or apparent in common reading of the scripture. So with that, we're going to do auspicious invocation, and we're going to do the Mangalacharan. So please join me in that, and then together we will try and discuss this wonderful topic. So Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavam Sacha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Varjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvatam Scha Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Guru Ishta Sapurakam Guru Ganarashisha Sambhushitam Chinta Chinta Samasta Vedanipnam Shri Rupa Panthanugam Govindabhidam Ujjalam Vartanam Bhaktyamritam Sundaram Mande Vishwagurun Cha Divya Bhagavat Premno Vishwadam Devam Divyatanam Suchandravadanam Balarkachelanchitam Sandranandapuram Sadekavarnam Vairagya Vidyam Mudim Shri Siddhantanidhim Subhaktilasitam Saraswatanam Varam Vandetam Shubhadam Madeka Saranam Nasiswaram Sridharam Shri Siddhanta Saraswati Vidito Gauriya Guruvanvaye Bhato Bhanuriva Prabhat Gagneo Gaura Sankirtane Mayavadati Mingilodaragatam Dritya Jivaniman Krishna Prema Sudabdigahana Sukham Pradata Prabhum Tam Bhaje Namo Gaura Kishoraya Bhaktavadhuta Murtaye Gaurangra Padma Bhangaya Radha Bhava Nishevine Bande Bhakti Vinodam Shri Gaura Shakti Sarupakam Bhakti Shastragya Samrajam Radhar Sudhanidim Gaura Brajashita Sheshaira Vaishnavaira Vandavikraham Jagannatha Prabhum Vande Premabdhim Nidda Vaishnavam Pancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhaivacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Namo Mahavadannaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaur. Dandavat Namaskar Shama ji, Namaskar Sangeeta ji.
Namaskar, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Namaste.
So good to have you.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. So I want to begin today by mentioning that we are used to, in our education, whether may it be the West or the East or any place, we are taught that in some primordial warm pond full of chemicals, at some given time, lightning struck and life happened, and so what we are and what our consciousness is just merely a product of chemicals. And so some of our fellow jivas, they believe in this wholeheartedly, and they live their lives according to this hypothesis, and we have nothing against them. I have nothing against them. We're friends, because that is also sort of a belief. But when we try to look within and we try to, with some faith, try to search out the truth that is there nothing beyond our physical existence, then we come to a point where we have to take direction and instruction. Just like if, for example, I was trying to be a nuclear scientist or I don't know, maybe a Wi-Fi wireless person, then I would try and contact someone who is at a certain level, who has achieved a degree of expertise, and they have delved into the subject, and they are able to explain it to me. For example, within our panel here, we have Arun Krishna Prabhu, and he's a scientist, and his explanations are about the subjects that he has are extremely deep, and it would be foolish for, let's say, a non-scientist like myself to go and challenge him and put forth ludicrous theories, and he would just shrug them off, laugh, and then move on. So in the same way, when we look at spirituality, somehow we think that this is something that everyone can have their own free opinions about, and it's nothing but perspectives, and that's what it amounts to. So, which is kind of unfortunate. It has a lot to do with how we are taught, and that's an entirely different subject of what is knowledge and what is not. But so today we're gonna, with the help of our teachers and with the help of what the scripture has for us, we're gonna try and uncover that what is the origin of the soul. So I want to pick up this. This is, again, it's a conversation, but before that, it's a primer. That since time immemorial, man has inquired about the origin of the soul. The Srila Sridhar Maharaj answers this most vital of all questions. Who am I? Where have I come from? So, who am I and where have I come from? So, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, now I would just request that please pay as much attention as possible, because how he explains it in each and every detail is just it's just full of potency. So kindly just pay as much attention as possible. How does the soul first appear in this world? From what stage of spiritual existence does he fall into the material world? This is a broad question which requires some background information. There are two classes of souls, jivas, who come into this world. One class comes from the spiritual Vaikuntha planets by the necessity of Nitya Leela, the eternal pastimes of Krishna. Another comes by constitutional necessity. So how many types of jivas? And we've discussed this before. We will find essentially two kinds of jivas. One of them, first category, they descend by the necessity of Nitya Leela. And the second type, the Nitya Baddha, there is constitutional necessity. Back to Srila Sridhar Maharaj. The Brahma Jyoti, the non-differentiated marginal plane, is the source of infinite jiva souls, atomic spiritual particles of non-differentiated character. The rays of the Lord's transcendental body are known as the Brahma Jyoti. And a pencil of a ray of the Brahma Jyoti is the Jiva. The Jiva soul is an atom in that effulgence. And the Brahma Jyoti is a product of an infinite number of Jiva atoms. Generally, souls emanate from the Brahma Jyoti, which is living and growing. Within the Brahma Jyoti, their equilibrium is somehow disturbed and movement begins. From non-differentiation, differentiation begins. From a plain sheet of uniform consciousness, individual conscious units grow. And because the jiva is conscious, it is endowed with free will. So, from the marginal position, they choose either the site of exploitation or the site of dedication. Krishna Bhuli say Jiva Anadi Bahirmukha. Anadi means that which has no beginning. Anadi. When we enter the land of exploitation, we come within the factor of time, space, and thought. And when we come to exploit, action and reaction begins in the negative land of lone. Although we strive to become masters, really we become losers. Golok and Vaikuntha servitors are also seen to be within the jurisdiction of the Brahman. So now he's talking about the other kinds of jivas. Remember two kinds of jivas?
Yes.
Nitya Baddha, Nitya Siddha. So he just talked about the constitutional necessity of the Nitya Baddhas to descend and exploit. Now he's talking about the Vaikuntha servitors. So back to Param Guru Maharaj. Goloka and Vaikuntha servitors are also seen to be within the jurisdiction of the Brahman, the material universe, but that is only a play, Leela. They come from that higher plane only to take part in the Lord's pastimes and then return. The fallen souls come from the marginal position within the Brahmajyoti and not from Vaikuntha. The first position of a soul in the material world will be like that of Brahma, the creator. Then his karma may take him to the body of a beast like a tiger. There he is surrounded with a tigerish mentality, or to the body of a tree or creeper where different impressions may surround him. In this way, one is involved in action and reaction. The case is complex. To analyze the details of the history of a particular atom is unnecessary. We are concerned with the general thing, how the transformation of the material conception springs from pure consciousness.
Prabhu, may I ask something?
Yes, please.
So there's the conditioned souls, they are coming from the Brahmajyoti. So the origin of the pure souls, they are not from the Brahmajyoti. They are existing eternally in the spiritual world, in Vaikuntha, Goloka. So there's a differentiation where the Brahmajyoti is and the individual souls are living there, and the ones that are conditioned or have some constitutional necessity come to this planet, they come from that plane of existence. But there are jiva souls that never experience the Brahmajyoti.
So no, that's not what the case is. We are all marginal potency of the Lord. So our origin is Brahmajyoti.
Okay.
That marginal plane. However, it is to be understood, you and I are trying to see that plane of existence within the purview of time and the dimensions that we're in. Right? So we said, some point in time, we were there. And then afterwards, we went up. And then after that, we fell down. There is no such thing as after and before when we talk Brahmajyoti. Right? That is transcendental. So, to say that at some point in time is simply to bring that to our mental plane and then try and discuss it. So, there's going to be distortion. Correct? And so, because of that, that's why he was saying that it's unnecessary to analyze the details. But the thing is that when that individual consciousness kind of awakens a little bit and tries to use its individual free will, there are chances of misuse. And because of that misuse, a lot of them, they come to the plane of exploitation. The ones who use it properly, they go towards service. Those are the Vaikuntha inhabitants, the Nitya Siddhas. So that is the origin, how it is explained to us, right? And then we are like a unit, an infinitesimal unit of consciousness as we exist. Does that make any sense, Prabhu?
Yes, it's just hard to conceive of something that has no end and no beginning.
Exactly.
I don't have any experience of that.
Exactly. I concur. But that is the case. That is how it is explained. So the origin happens to be the Brahmajyoti. So now, when we say back home, back to Godhead, you've heard this a lot, right? What do you think is being told to us? Because we're originally, like, if we see, we're not from there, correct? So what is being told to us?
Back to Godhead is changing our attitude to go in, to recognize our proper situation, to be the servitor of the Creator.
I'll say one word. That's what you're saying is absolutely right. But I'll say one word, and you tell me what you think of it. When we're told back home, back to Godhead, what we're being told is what we're being made aware of is our potential, our potentiality. Home is where the heart is. That is why it's back home, back to Godhead, not because we are from Vaikuntha. Does that make any sense?
Because I know there's some debate on this, like there's some people who are really questioning the origin of the Jiva soul. Is there somewhere where Srila Sridhar Maharaj or Srila Guru Maharaj kind of explains succinctly what you just described, like the potentiality of the Jiva soul to go back?
Well, that's what we're discovering. So let's
there
read
you go.
on. Let's discover. Let's read together. If we have like some certain, you can say, scriptural proof that they make us aware of, that till now we weren't, then it'll be like super satisfying, especially if we've heard the debate. So that was actually also one of the reasons why I kind of chose this particular subject.
Prabhuji, can I just speak for a moment?
Absolutely.
So, what Chinmay Prabhu said is exactly the situation, even in the physical world, when we are told, okay, what is time? What has it sprung from? What is existence? And it is very hard, even for ordinary people, to understand, okay, if this one Brahman, this one universe has sprung from Big Bang, and when physicists say from Big Bang time started, then the question comes, so what was before Big Bang? It's very hard for us to understand or even comprehend anything which is not within a context of time. And how do you describe where there is no time, which is really the root of Big Bang?
Very true. So now we go on. Matter is not independent of spirit. In the Brahmajyoti, we are equipoised in the marginal potency as an infinite number of pinpoints of spiritual rays, electrons of consciousness. Consciousness means endowed with free will, for without free will, no consciousness can be conceived. An atomic pinpoint of consciousness has very meager free will, and by misuse of their free will, some jivas have taken their chance in the material world. They refuse to submit to the supreme authority. They want to dominate. So, with this germinal idea of domination, the jiva enters into the world of exploitation. And now, some proof. Chinmay Prabhu. Some proof is coming. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 27, it is stated, Ichha dvesha samutthena dandamohena bharata sarvabhutani sammoham sargayanti parantapa. Two principles in a crude form awaken in the jiva. What are the two principles? Ichha and dvesh, hatred and desire. So that disturbance within that non-differentiation is because of these two. Ichha dvesh samutthena dandamohena bharata. Then gradually the soul comes down to mingle with the mundane world. At first, sympathy and apathy develop in a crude form, just as when a sprout springs up with two leaves. And gradually, these two things help us to dive deep into this mundane world where we shouldn't be diving. Upon retiring from the world of exploitation, the soul may return to its formal position in the Brahmajyoti as spirit. But if the soul has gathered the tendency of dedication through his previous devotional activities, he does not stop there. He pierces through the Brahmajyoti and goes towards Vaikuntha.
Could you say that one more time, Prabhuji?
Sure. Upon retiring from the world of exploitation, the soul may return to his formal position in the Brahmajyoti as spirit, which is normally widely understood as liberation,
Liberation.
Sayujya Mukti. Now Param Guru Maharaj continues, but if the soul has gathered the tendency of dedication through his previous devotional activities, he does not stop there. He pierces through the Brahmajyoti and goes towards Vaikuntha. Why has the soul come to the world of exploitation and not the world of dedication? That should be attributed to his innate nature. Whose innate nature?
The soul.
The soul's. So, why did God put us in this position? That is not.
We chose it.
But let's go on. We're looking for more solid proof. Why has the soul come to the world of exploitation and not the world of dedication? That should be attributed to his innate nature, which is endowed with free will. It is a free choice. This is substantiated in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, verse 14. Na kartattam na karmani lokasya srajati prabhu na karma phal sanyogam svabhavastu pravartate. So the verse is na kartattam na karmani lokasya srajati prabhu na karma phal sanyogam svabhavastu pravartate. This is the verse. Back to Param Guru Maharaj. The soul is responsible for his entrance into the land of exploitation. The responsibility is with the soul. Otherwise, the Lord would be responsible for his distressed condition. But Krishna says that the soul's innate free will is responsible for his entanglement in the material world. The soul is conscious, and consciousness means endowed with freedom. And because the soul is atomic, his free will is imperfect and vulnerable. The result of that free choice is that some are coming into the material world and some are going to the spiritual world. So, the responsibility is with the individual soul. It is not the Lord's responsibility. So, going back to the verse, just a pause here. Na kartatvam. So the na kartatvam na karmani. So it's saying na means no, kartatvam like karm is to do, and kartatvam is the identity of actually doing it, or the ego, the false ego of I am the doer. That is kartatvam. Na karmani, nor the actual actions. Lokasya, of the people, srajati, Prabhu, he doesn't do this. So if someone thinks, oh, I'm being made to do this, the whole premise is wrong. Na kartattam na karmani, lokasya srajati, Prabhu. Na karma phala sanyogam. Now remember, we had read na karma phala sanyogam. Karma phala sanyog is attachment to the fruit of my action. So he is not responsible for any three of them, which to an active entity in this world are most important. I am the doer, it is my work, and the fruits are most important to me. And then when this equation goes haywire, then guess what? Why do bad things happen to good people? It's because there is no God, or God is unjust, or 10,000 different things. But see the genesis. And how do these three get attached to the jiva? Swabhavastu pravartate. By swabhav, by the innate nature. That's swabhav. And each atomic individual entity has its own swabhav, has its own nature. They're all individuals. We are all individuals. We have our own tastes, our own way of going about things, understanding things, experiencing. We do experience, that's common. But how we experience and what we experience are unique. Sabhavastu pravartate. Right? How wonderfully in Bhagavad Gita these deep things have been brought out and explained to us in such a nice way.
Prabhu, one more time, can you please repeat?
Sangeeta ji, what exactly are you looking for?
This last thing, these three things you said, it's
Okay.
connected this thing.
Sure. So the verse that Param Guru Maharaj mentioned to us was na kartrattam na karmani lokasya srajati prabhu na karma phala sanyogam sabhavastu pravartate. This is the verse. So the verse here is saying that kartattam, when all of us, everyone included, whoever is in the world, they have this ego, this false ego that I am the doer and I am doing this and I'm doing it well and I can do it better than anyone else and so forth. That's the ego of working, or ego of exploitation, you can say. Sangeeta, is that fine?
Yes. Yes.
And then the second thing is na karmani. Karmani, karm. Correct? Karm is our actions, good or bad. Since we are in this world, we are engaged in action. Right?
Yes.
Whether it be on the physical plane or on the mental plane, subtle plane, but we are acting. We cannot stop for even 1 second.
Yes.
Nahi kaschid kshanamapi jat tishtanti akarmakrit. For not even 1 second is it possible for an embodied entity to be akarmakrit. Correct? So the second thing that is being told to us, that our attachment to the works that we do, or the actions that we do. And then the third thing is karma phal sanyog. So sanyog means our attachment to the karma phal. So our ego of exploitation, our exploitative work, and our tendency to be attached to the fruit of our exploitative work. None of these is attributable to the will of the Lord. Krishna is he has not done, he does not concern himself with any of these. And where have these come from? Sabhavastu pravartate. By the innate nature of each individual soul, they get attached to certain kinds of action, certain kind of this, and then they go on like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Better.
So that is what is being explained, and it is something that is really important for all of us to realize, and for nearly everyone to realize, before going around blaming other things and other people and the environment. So in 2 verses, we have understood so much by the mercy of Param Guru Maharaj. So let me read this. The result of that free choice. Now, why have we made this? Why do they do this? Why? Because we have free choice. That's why we choose our own kind of false ego. We choose our own, okay, this is the way I like it. This is the way I'm going to do. This is the way I'm going to exploit. And this is how I'll dominate. And this is how I'll do. And this is how I'll enjoy the fruits of my labor. Fruits of my exploitation. And that's endless. It's the tendency that we have, innate tendency. Everyone has it. That's why one exploiter gets along really well with the other one. Nah, you will see. The bigger the exploiter, and then they will be very happy in the company of other big exploiters. So even in the mood of exploitation, birds of a feather flock together, right? like devotees, like we all flock together. We're trying to, at least I'm trying to. I'm not like a real devotee, but I'm trying to be devotional in my attitude and everything, and associate with you folks. But so is the thing with the exploiters. That's how they are. So back to the thing here. Param Guru Maharaj is now saying, once an Indian political leader, Shyam Sundar Chakrabarti, asked our spiritual master Prabhupada. So he's referring to Srila Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Thakur. Why has the Lord granted such freedom to the jiva? Prabhupada told him, you are fighting for freedom. Don't you know the value of freedom? Devoid of freedom, the soul is only matter. Freedom offers us the alternative to do right or wrong. Once, Gandhi told the British authorities, we want freedom. They replied, you are not fit to have self-government. When you are fit, we shall give it to you. But finally he told them, we want the freedom to do wrong. So freedom does not guarantee only acting in the right way. Freedom has its value independent of right and wrong. Free will is only absolute with the absolute truth. Because we are finite, our free will is infinitesimal. Infinitesimal means very, very quantitatively very, very small. The possibility of committing a mistake is there. Our first choice was to dominate, and so gradually we have entered the world of domination. As a result of this first action, everything else has developed. So, in different ranks, the species have been divided. From the demigods down to the trees and stones, and water bodies, gaseous bodies, everything that we find here was evolved in that way. The activating principle in any form of embryological development is the soul. And from the soul, everything has evolved. So if you tie this, Jai, Srila Param Guru Maharaj ki Jai. So if you try to tie this, the soul is subjective. And because of this tendency to exploit, we see everything as objects. And the origin of why we've exercised, right or wrong, we've exercised our free will. That's why we're somewhere. Is because of those two things. Ichcha dvesha samutthena, danda mohena bharat. Danda moh. Then we get caught by that elusive duality. And so we come into this exploitative environment.
So that is the root of duality experienced by living entity.
Say that again, Prabhuji.
Is that the root of the duality experienced by living entity? It's kind of recursion. It just duality just starts to manifest, and then you are in this material entanglement, which always has, I like it, not like it, in the two sides.
Correct. In a way, because once that those two petals or the two leaves begin to gather steam, then we are attracted more to the exploitative plane. Danda mohena bharata. And then, as we are more and more attracted, then Danda mohena bharata, then we get more illusion by the dualities of illusion. Dandamohena Bharata. And then Sarva Bhutani Sammoham Sarge Yanti Parantapa. At the beginning, at the formation of this illusory environment, this began. And then we are caught forever. So this is how we kind of begin to see things when we have some faith and with the blessings of our teachers, of Vaishnavas. Then we don't just trust the eyes of the flesh, because so many things we see, and we know that to most people, reality is perception. You know, what they perceive, perception is reality. But this perception, or this physical perception, eyes of the flesh cannot see perfectly. So to see, then we are given some divine vision by our teachers. And when we put faith in that, then we can also get a glimpse. And it's all real. That's the difference between ordinary philosophy and darshan.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all like that, and very harmoniously, then we can go on and on and on to more and more and more and deeper realizations, and then back to home, back to Godhead. So we're having this sangha by we're having this broadcast and sangha because our Srila Bhakti Pawan Janardhan Maharaj has ordered us, and we're very happy to be here every week with our panel, distinguished panel, and discuss these topics openly, threadbare, and take help of like our teachers, and bring forth the deepest of the deepest secrets that people in general are grappling with, or they're not sure of, or there isn't enough proof. So we see how there's plenty of proof, there's plenty of background, and like that we can discuss, and we can have, and each perspective is a little different, and that's what brings taste and variety. That's beautiful. So with that, pardon my offenses, and we will go into our next part of the program, which is having our Hariharai, and then we will meet Tuesday for our Chaitanya Charitamrita reading. Wednesday we will have Arun Krishna Prabhu lead us in the evening Kirtan class, and then next Friday we will have more lively discussions. So I see Nikhil ji is here, so namaskar Nikhil ji.
Hello.
Chinmay Prabhu, was any reflections or anything you want to say?
Well, actually, in the beginning, you were talking about the scientific theory of life and something like that, and it reminded me of this one quote I heard recently from this biologist, and I'm paraphrasing. He said, "Science will explain everything, no problem, but give us one miracle that everything and all the laws that govern it came from nothing at one particular point in time."
So precise and accurate and
Wonderful.
Just one little miracle.
One little miracle.
right. For me, Prabhuji, all these things that you read for us are extremely beautiful because everything really first starts with having the right question and then the right reasoning. So unless a person asks the most fundamental question, as you said in the beginning, who am I? It really starts from that. And that comes as part of evolution and choices the living being makes. And of course, the mercy is always there. And once that question is asked, who am I and what is this? That then draws that person to say, what is beyond the world that has been constructed in my mind based on the senses of the physical thing. That really is the first stepping stone to asking this question of, okay, what is the method behind this madness?
Yeah.
And there is a method.
Yes.
And because we don't know it, does not mean it does not exist.
Very true, Arun Prabhu. And with that, we will get into our next phase here. So give me a second while I set it up.
May I just request everybody by that time, people who are on WebEx, if possible, just try to keep your cameras on, and that way people on Facebook can get an idea of who and how many real people are also participating in real time.
भज श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरिहराय नमः कृष्णाय राधाय नमः यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः गोपाल गोविंद राम श्री मधुसूदन गिरिधारी गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन श्री चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत चंद्र गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्त वृंद जय रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ इच्छाय गोसाई कोरी चरण बंधन जहाँ होते विज्ञान शाविष्ट पुराण इच्छाय गोसाई जार मुई तारा दास सबार पद रेणु मोरा पंचग्रास ताडेर चरण से विभक्त सने भास जन्म मोरा ये अभिलाष जो ब्रजे कोइला बास श्री राधा कृष्ण नित्य लीला कोरिला प्रकाश आनंद बोलो हरि भज वृंदावन श्री गुरु वैष्णव पदे मजई अमान श्री गुरु वैष्णव पद पद्मा कोरियास हरि नाम संकीर्तन को है नरोत्तम दास हरिहराय नमः कृष्णाय यादवाय नमः यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नित्य गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौरा हरि बोल जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय गौरंगा सुंदर जय गौरंगा सुंदर जय गौरंगा सुंदर जय गौरंगा सुंदर कहाँ
जय जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य वर्ग स्तोत्र शता शिला भक्ति सुंदर गोविंद देव गोस्वामी महाराज की जय।
मैंने मना कर दिया
जय शिला
10 मिनट लेट है
भक्ति रक्षक श्रीधर देव गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। जय भगवान शिला भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर की जय। जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। जय शिला भक्ति पवन जनार्दन महाराज की जय। जय शिला भक्ति निर्मल आचार्य महाराज की जय।
फिर तुमने
सपार्षद श्रीमन महाप्रभु की जय। रूपनुग गुरुवर्ग की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की नित्याय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। श्रीपाद अरुण कृष्ण प्रभु की जय। चिन्मय प्रभु की जय। ऑल द assembled devotees की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। My dandavats and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Dandavad.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
ये बताओ मुझे क्या है? I gave you 6 because the one connected double project.